What is going on, everyone? Welcome in. Fardeen Vasugian here with you on a Thursday, not just any Thursday. It is a game day, and it is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you today. We've got a game today, and I'm tired. I've been up since 3 a.m. Eastern time. Listen, I know my time zones and all that, but even just being 1 hour ahead or behind, I get thrown off, man. I really get thrown off. So I think technically I've been up since 2 a.m. Yeah. I'm back though. So by the way, if I look tired, if I look like I'm sweating, if you can hear the washing machine in the background, that's because all of that stuff hit the horn. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Do I remember how this machine even works? What is that one? Hold on. Oh, we don't want that one. No, we don't want that. What about
this? Do we want this? No?
I don't think that's the right button either. I think oh, I see it now. There it is. Yeah, hey, listen. After like having a lot, you know what's really crazy? In this resort, they make the most badass omelets ever. And it just made me want more eggs. Like last night for dinner, I had 5 fucking eggs, man. This morning, same exact thing. 5 eggs. It's like once you're having like the same thing over and over again, it's just like you don't get tired of omelets and eggs. So anyway, enough of that. How are you guys feeling? Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. Appreciate the welcome back. And if you guys in Dallas for the game, hopefully you kept your hat on. I don't know you're talking about the Hawaiian style looking hat. I don't know. Scramble. I'm a scrambled kind of guy. Listen. I can go for either one though, Nick. I can go for either one. Happy Thanksgiving from the UK. Well, shout out to the UK. Shout out to you, Matthew James 9939. Appreciate you watching. All right, let's talk some Chiefs football here. So, here's my thing with the Chiefs today. They're coming off a win against the Indianapolis Colts. And I know the response from Colts fans in that last game is that, oh, our head coach didn't manage that game well. Listen, he outcoached Andy Reid for 3 quarters. The way I saw that football game, I think we can all agree on that. But they shut down Jonathan Taylor. And by the way, Jonathan Taylor had 3.6 yards per carry. Somebody commented, and I thought, oh, maybe this is just me having way too many drinks. But while I was on vacation, I read a comment. Someone said they didn't shut down Jonathan Taylor. He averaged almost 4 yards a carry. Folks, averaging 3.6 yards a carry is not almost 4. This is not one of those situations where you round up. Okay, like 3.6 yards per carry is bad, especially for a guy who, by the way, led the league in rushing going into last week and still does for right now. He was the first 1,000-yard rusher for this season. The Chiefs absolutely shut down Jonathan Taylor. That was the second worst performance he had yardage-wise this season. Daniel Jones, statistically speaking, that was the fewest passing yards he ever had in a game this year, 188 yards. And listen, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, here comes the Daniel Jones from the New York Giants. He's back. No. I think that's irresponsible. Has he had a couple of bad moments? Yeah, against the Steelers and against the Chiefs. The Steelers one is very misleading because a lot of stats and garbage time, but I digress. My point is the Colts, who have been dominating teams this year for the majority of the season, they've been leading the league in point differential. When you're leading the league in that category, that means you're destroying teams. Unless it's one of those weird years where there's no clear-cut front runner in that category, which that's not the case. Right now, they're not leading the league in that category. That's the Rams. But as far as what the Chiefs did to the Colts, if you can beat the Colts, you can beat a lot of good teams in the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and say you can beat every team remaining on your schedule, though for Kansas City, you kind of have to go that route because you're not getting much help when it comes to the playoff picture in the AFC. The Jaguars, for as much as we talk about how they're kind of an up and down team, well, they're continuing to win games. The Chargers, they don't have an offensive line, and they've got a little bit of an easy schedule, but I still think there's a strong possibility, they're going to fall out. I'm betting money that they fall out of the playoff picture, the wild card picture. The Bills, a lot of people are on the Bills in the last 7 days because of what happened to them last Thursday night. I disagree. Listen, Buffalo had a terrible game last Thursday. They still almost won that game. Now you've got Houston, who their defense, it looks like it's getting better and better each week. Their offense has been playing better with Davis Mills, but I think they want to give CJ Stroud an opportunity when he comes back from his injury. And by the way, after today, that's who you play next, the Texans on Sunday Night Football, which will have massive playoff implications. I think if you were to tell me next Sunday Night Football's game, the winner of that will make it to the playoffs, I won't disagree with that. I truly do believe the winner of Kansas City and Houston next Sunday night, that team goes to the playoffs. I think that you can bet on that team making the playoffs. The Chiefs are a little bit behind the 8 ball. I know they're tied with the Steelers also alongside the Texans. The Steelers, they don't look like a team that's going to stick around too long with Aaron Rodgers, his injury situation. The Steelers are really not much of they weren't that much of a threat before Rodgers' injury. And even now it's like, who's the one sole guy you're relying on? TJ Watt? I mean, he's amazing, but I don't think that guy is going to be an edge rusher cannot carry a football team. When I'm looking at Dallas's defense, they don't have much to account for. And their linebackers, not the best in coverage. So if they're assigned to go up against Travis Kelce in this game, I honestly expect Travis Kelce to have a really big game against Dallas here. The linebacker for the Cowboys, and I'm trying to look this up here, they have Kenneth Murray Jr., that's one of their linebackers that they have. They also have Marcet Luifo, who I think is expected to get some playing time in this one here. Those guys are not very good in coverage. They're not. And listen, Deron Bland, I know Deron Bland, that guy was like a pick six merchant at one point. Oddly enough, the only interception he's had this year was a pick six. But man, when you look at some of the other cornerbacks on this team, guys like Reddy Stewart, Donovan Wilson, not a really good player in the secondary. Some of the other cornerbacks on this team, Kalen Carson. I told you guys on the podcast on Tuesday, those are Carson and Stewart. Those guys are not very good cover cornerbacks. So I would expect Patrick Mahomes to kind of go away from Deron Bland, which any quarterback would do, and pick on guys like Reddy Stewart and Kalen Carson. Listen, I know they have some notable names on that defensive line. Like you have Jadeveon Clowney. Can anybody tell me what Jadeveon Clowney has done in the NFL? I feel like everyone knows Jadeveon Clowney for that one hit he had in college football. I think that was against Michigan. He had that one big, massive hit. The guy's been a journeyman in the NFL. I know people get excited when their favorite team signs him, but then you remember, oh, okay, he just had one holy shit moment in college football. That's it. They have Kenny Clark, who they got from the Micah Parsons trade from the Green Bay Packers. Quinnen Williams from the Jets. But this defense is still not playing well together. So I would expect Patrick Mahomes to have a really good game here. I would not be surprised if Mahomes had 3 or 4 touchdown passes in this game. I said the score would be 31-21. I mean, you've got a defense that's either last or damn near last in a lot of key categories here. I think when it comes to third down defense, the Cowboys are the worst in that category. So Kansas City's got to be much better on third down. In the red zone, the Cowboys are the third worst red zone defense. And Kansas City was just I think 1 of 5 or 1 of 6 against the Colts. You've got to be much better than that. Listen, for as exciting, we all love football for how close it can be sometimes. As exciting as that was, I think Kansas City could have done a lot of things to prevent that score, prevent overtime, really. And they didn't. So I'd like to see the Chiefs be more consistent and more effective in the red zone. They've also got the second worst scoring defense. They're allowing more than 28 points per game. That's the second worst in the NFL. They're 29th in total defense, 22nd in stopping the run, 25th in against the pass. This is not a good defense. So when you look at the offense here, and I know they've got Tyler Guyton out, who's kind of been up and down this year, but boy, Dak Prescott's got a lot of good receivers to work with. George Pickens, who's had a resurgence, and I told you, if you missed it on Tuesday's podcast, George Pickens already has single season career highs in catches, touchdown grabs, and first down receptions. And he's 87 yards away from having a single season career high in that category in receiving yards. So he's having by far his best year ever. And maybe it was just a change of scenery that he needed to be better in Dallas compared to Pittsburgh. CeeDee Lamb, I know he kind of got off to a weird start. He's also missed a few games because of injuries, but boy, you can't ever write him off. I mean, Dak Prescott against the Eagles, I mean, he had at least three plays of 40 or more passing yards. Pickens got involved. CeeDee Lamb got involved. The returner, who's got some good speed there, Kevontae Turpin. They've got a lot of good guys to work with. And in the red zone, they love to use Jake Ferguson. He's got 65 catches. That's the second most among tight ends. Doesn't get a lot of yards, but he's got 7 touchdown grabs. And that is tied for the most among tight ends this year. So when the Cowboys get to the red zone, Kansas City's got to keep an eye on Jake Ferguson because they have not done well against tight ends. It was brutal a few weeks ago when they were playing against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it just seemed like Josh Allen had the perfect string straight to Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. Like, Kansas City had no answer for the connection between Josh Allen and the tight ends. So I'd like to see the Chiefs be ready for Jake Ferguson when the Cowboys get to the red zone. Because when it comes to the long ball, yeah, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Turpin, Dak's going to get to those guys. But in terms of the red zone, Jake Ferguson's the one guy you've got to keep an eye on. Obviously, there were no sacks on Daniel Jones last week, but Chris Jones, I will argue, had the best game of his season for sure. And maybe one of the best games of his career. I remember Jared Allen. I think this was his last year with the Chiefs. He had one of the best games of his career against Peyton Manning. Things that don't come up on the stat sheet. Was going out there, pressuring Manning all game long, even tipped a pass that turned into an interception. Chris Jones kind of had a similar type of game where he just did all kinds of things going after Daniel Jones, things that you just don't see on traditional stat sheets. Unless you're signed up for like PFF or any of those other premium websites that have stats that the other websites don't have, which to me in 2025, that's asinine, but that's a topic for another time. So those are my thoughts going into this game. I'm going 31-21 Kansas City. I think the Cowboys are going to get maybe a touchdown or some sort of a score in garbage time, but Kansas City, I think, is going to dominate this game. I think Dak's going to do some good things in this game. I think that offense is going to be able to move the ball at times, but I'd like to see that Spag special come back. Listen, the Cowboys have a great quarterback and a great running back. Nobody, by the way, talks about their running back, Javonte Williams, and that includes me because I just mentioned him for the first time on this live stream. So I'd like to see the Chiefs have another similar game defensively because they just went up against a team that had the leading rusher in Jonathan Taylor and also Daniel Jones. Both of those guys were top 5 passers and rushers. Same exact thing in this game here, man. You've got a top 5 passer in Dak Prescott and a top 5 runner in Javonte Williams. So if Kansas City's defense can do what they did to Indy, hopefully they can go on the road and do the same thing. And the word is there are going to be a lot of Chiefs fans in attendance. So it's not going to be like a big-time home game for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see how this turns out. But I'm hoping that Kansas City can step it up here offensively. Because if they do that, I think this will be a one-sided game. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, for those of you coming in late. Pacheco is playing today, yes, which is huge because Kareem Hunt, who, by the way, I'll be honest, I was a little surprised given his numbers. He was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Now, listen, I can look this up right now, actually. Listen, I was on vacation, so I didn't pay too much attention to the rest of the NFL. But was there really no other great offensive player? I mean, I'll be honest. I thought Mahomes statistically was better than Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, well, don't get me wrong. Kareem Hunt does a lot of things that, again, don't come up on the stat sheet. I'm going to look at weekly leaders from the offensive side, because there's no way. I mean, they'll never give Player of the Week honors to someone that's coming off a loss. Yeah, I'm looking. So when it comes to the top 5 rushers, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Cook lost. Jahmyr Gibbs in the NFC. Chase Brown, they lost. Emmanuel Wilson, that's an NFC running back. Okay, all right. On the AFC side, yeah, I guess there really weren't much. I guess there wasn't a lot to pick from the AFC side of things. I'm kind of surprised it wasn't Mahomes, but I guess, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. It's a little hard to give it to him. So they went with Kareem Hunt. I'll tell you what, though. One player that should have gotten Player of the Week honors, 100% should have been Harrison Butker. The Patriots kicker got it. He was, 4 of 4 in field goals? I mean, Butker was 5 of 5, including a game winner in overtime. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But anyway, to go back to the comment about Isaiah Pacheco from Larry, yeah. On a short week where Kareem Hunt just ran the ball 30 times, having Isaiah Pacheco is very significant today. That's huge. Yeah, take out that 27-yard run he had on 3rd and 2. Yeah, he did not have a great day. And listen, I'm not a big fan of saying, oh, well, take away this big play. I mean, those things happened. Still, with that big play, what did Jonathan Taylor do? Nothing. And listen, if you're a Colts fan, you want to blame Shane Steichen, fine. But there's only so much Shane Steichen can do. I mean, the Chiefs defense plugged every hole and did not allow Taylor to go off and have a big game. He was just coming off a game where he almost had 300 yards of total offense. I know they were coming off a bye week, but man, I guarantee you Atlanta, which, by the way, Atlanta's got a good defense. They watched that game and they were like, why couldn't our defense do that? Yeah, and look, I think Mahomes can have a good game against this bad pass defense. That's what I'm predicting. But I'm not opposed to going run heavy again. Let Pacheco get some runs here. Maybe, he'll revert back to his old self. You can only hope at this point, because you did not. Yeah, see, Brad's asking, do we run or pass today? I think Andy Reid's going to go pass heavy because of how bad Dallas's defense is. But I'm not opposed to going run heavy. I just don't know if Andy Reid will go run heavy again. 2 games in a row on a short week. Yeah, Rashee Rice is expected to play, Larry. Yeah. I know he gave himself up on a play near the end of the game because of the hamstring there. He appeared to be okay, and it looked like he wanted to go back in before the game-winning field goal, but they just wanted to center it or not center it, but put it in a place where Harrison Butker was comfortable to kick from. So it's not Patty's first time in Texas. It's actually his second time. His first time was that overtime game against the Texans. Remember that one in 2022? That was when Jerick McKinnon took over and had a really big game. So this is actually Patrick's second time in the state of Texas playing an NFL game, but it's his first time starting in Dallas. Now, the Chiefs in 2017, they did have Patrick Mahomes on the team, but Alex Smith started the game, as you all remember. Yeah, a lot of people are wondering, because it's Patrick Mahomes in his home state, playing in AT&T Stadium, the team he grew up cheering for, if he'll have a big game with his family, friends in attendance. Yeah, that's possible. How was my flight this morning? Long. Well, listen, I can't complain. I was sitting in business class, so you can't ever complain about long flights when you've got a nice seat. Dak's been playing great this year. Yes. Now he's had other great years too. I just don't know how that's going to translate well. I know that's not what we're concerned about right now, but yeah, for the time being, Dak's having a great season, 100%. He and Mahomes is 2 and Dak is 3 in passing yards. So it's been a pretty good year for him, for sure. The thing you've got to keep in mind is the Chiefs shut down Jonathan Taylor, and they told the Colts, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to use Daniel Jones. And what did Shane Steichen do? On Indianapolis' last possession before overtime, what did they do? They threw the ball 3 times with Daniel Jones because Shane Steichen kind of lost confidence in the run game. I was like, okay, don't know why you're doing that, but glad you did. I mean, as Chiefs fans, we're always on the other side questioning Andy Reid's decision-making in these close situations. And now it's nice to be on the other side of that for once. We should run Hunt a lot today, in my opinion, over Pacheco. Well, I'd love to see that too, but keep in mind, he just ran 30 times 5 days ago. I mean, unless this guy's a cyborg and was, manufactured in some laboratory to just go out there like a Terminator. I mean, he's a human being. He's got. And listen, I know football players like Kareem Hunt are never going to say no, but you don't want to run him to the ground. You need him in 10 days. And I know it's a mini buy for Kansas City, but you do not. I know a lot of you guys as fans will say one game at a time, but you always have to think rationally as well. It's like you just ran the guy 30 times. Was that part of the game plan? I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And if that was the case, if that was part of the plan, perhaps that's a big reason why you did not play Pacheco in that one, so you could save him for this one. I don't know who you're going to see more of. If I had to bet on it, I would say more Pacheco, because Hunt just had a really big game running the ball a lot. And then I would also be willing to bet that in 10 days off this mini buy that you would see more of Kareem Hunt against Houston, but we'll worry about that next week. Yeah, I did see Ari from the 33rd team. He said that he thinks this is going to be the most watched Thanksgiving Day game and the most watched regular season game of all time. That would be interesting. My score prediction, 31-21, KC. Yeah, that is a good point, Erica, about Mahomes holding onto the ball too long. You don't have Trey Smith in this one. That is a huge deal. Mike Caliendo, he's been kind of up and down. But Patrick Mahomes, I thought, did great against the blitz in this game on Sunday. So I'd be curious to see how he does in this one. I'm hoping the Chiefs are not too shy about possibly considering Hunter Norzad. I like Hunter Norzad as a pass blocker. I don't think he's a good center. His snaps were pretty low in that Week 18 game last year. But we'll see. We'll see if the Chiefs decide to go to the bullpen on that one. Dak doesn't get the recognition he deserves. How so? I mean, listen, he just gets a lot of criticism for having these great regular seasons and then not showing up in the playoffs. I don't think that's unfair to say. Asher says Mahomes about to feast. I agree. I think Mahomes can. I think Mahomes will have a big game. I do. I think the Chiefs will go more pass heavy than run heavy in this one. Nelson says, I'm hoping we can use Worthy with more with some quick passes out in the backfield. Certainly. But I think you've got to be careful with that as well, because in that Buffalo game, Maxwell Hairston in his postgame interview was like, yeah, I knew they were going to do all that because I saw it on tape. So I think, that's not something you should have said, because maybe not this moment, but at the time you kind of thought to yourself, hey, the odds of the Chiefs and the Bills meeting again is very likely. And listen, maybe the football gods will work their magic and bring those two teams as wild card contenders in the AFC championship game. I don't know, but you don't reveal that stuff publicly too much. And as a Chiefs fan, I'm like, thank you, Maxwell Hairston, because Andy Reid needed a wake-up call. If Maxwell Hairston does not make that comment, I'm a little worried the Chiefs would have still been somewhat predictable offensively. And I know they did not have a great game offensively speaking against the Colts up until the fourth quarter. But I think the thought is, listen, your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. You've got a great wide receiver trio, plus a good depth if you utilize Tyquan Thornton. That's a topic for another time. Travis Kelce's stepped up this year compared to last year. So this offense can always light it up at any point. Remember against the Raiders in 2019, they scored 28 points in the second quarter, and they did the exact same thing 3 months later when they were down 24-0. I would be curious to see if Kansas City can do something like that in this one, where they just light it up and go off in a short amount of time, where they just put up a bunch of points. I'd be curious to see if Kansas City can do something like that in this game. I think they can. All right, I'll read one or two more questions before I get out of here. Is Caliendo going to hold up against Kenny Clark and Quinn Williams? That's going to be the ball game. That's a good point. Yes, that's going to be very important. Yeah, a lot of Caliendo comments here. Yeah, Caliendo's got to step up. And listen, if you're going to consider running the ball, don't be shy about going heavy to the left side. Because I think Josh Williams, I mean, that dude is having a phenomenal rookie season. I think Kingsley Suamataia, he's, been a little inconsistent with his pass blocking, though I think he's playing way better this year than he was last year as a tackle. Kingsley Suamataia is a damn good run blocker. And I remember in training camp, whenever they would have running plays, or whenever they had a screenplay, which, that is a passing play, but the object for offensive linemen, their task basically comes, they're basically run blockers in that manner. Kingsley Suamataia will run down the field and just pave the way for you. So I would be interested in seeing how often the Chiefs run to the left. Let's say they run 20 times today. I would be willing to bet 15 of them are to the left. Especially with Caliendo starting at right guard in this game. Yeah, and I don't know with Xavier Worthy's ankle and Rashee Rice's hamstring. How I know they were not limited in the Tuesday and Wednesday practice, but you would have to think on a short week, is this the time where you see more of Tyquan Thornton? I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to see Thornton get more involved. I agree with you, Jacob. Sack Nation comes alive today. That'd be nice. I remember Letitia says, I'm planning for dinner after the game. I remember a couple of years ago when it was the Cowboys and the Raiders on Thanksgiving. And I think this was in 2021. Because that was when Kansas City was off to that slow start and the Raiders were leading in the AFC West, and you needed the Raiders to lose some games. I remember that game went into overtime, if I remember that one correctly. I'm going to look up the date just to be sure. That had to have been 2021, was it not? Yes, it was 2021. I see that now. I pulled it up. Because that was when the Chiefs really needed the Raiders to start dropping games. And I remember that game went into overtime. And my family and I mean, dinner was ready, but nobody wanted to go to the dinner table because there was no TV in that room where my parents are. And so I was just like, please, we've got to see this game. Like, no one wanted to leave. Everyone was glued to the TV. And then I remember the Raiders got that big play before the game-winning field goal in overtime. I'm like, ah, shit. So, yeah, that was a high-scoring game, 36-33. I don't remember that part of it. I just remember it going into overtime. But, yeah, now hopefully we'll get some good Thanksgiving memories. The last time the Chiefs played on Thanksgiving was the first ever Thanksgiving night game in 2006. That was Lamar Hunt's wish. And unfortunately, that was when he was ill and eventually passed away that season. But, man, that's the last time the Chiefs played on Thanksgiving. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do in this one here. I got a question for you guys. As a fan, just as a fan, do you care about the team constantly playing on holidays? Because this is going to be the third year in a row they're playing on Christmas and they're playing on Thanksgiving. I've seen some people in the local media when the schedule came out, they were complaining about, oh, Christmas and Thanksgiving. Listen, I can't complain because I'm from home doing my content, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do it in that way. But I will say this, like in sports media, and I know Erin Andrews opened up about this the other day on her podcast. When you sign up to be in sports media, you accept that you very likely will work on holidays. If you're working baseball, which I used to work in baseball and media production, for those who don't know, I used to be the stadium DJ for the Royals and also operated the video board for some games. You knew that you would have to work on Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. I mean, people would rather be off on those days, eating hot dogs, shooting off fireworks, drinking beer, all that stuff. But, that's what you sign up for. If you're in the football field, not the literal field, but in the field of, the sport, whether you cover it, you work for the team, whatever, there's a chance that you're going to work on Halloween. And if you have kids, you're going to probably miss time with your kids that night. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I just think, when you sign up for being in sports, whether it's in the media or even as players, because I heard a couple of players complaining about the holiday schedule this year. This is what you sign up for. I'd rather play Thanksgiving than Christmas, that's for sure. Listen, I've worked on Thanksgiving and Christmas in the past. You don't get paid extra for those days either, and it really sucks. But listen, like if you're an NFL player, don't complain about having to play on holidays. You're fine. You're making 6, 7, maybe 8 figures. You're okay. You're totally okay. But yeah, man, I've been there working on holidays. So by the way, for any of you guys working today, props to you guys. I know what that is like. It's not fun. I will say this because many years ago when I worked at 610, I filled in to host on Christmas Day. I have never in my life left the house on Christmas morning ever until that day in 2014, I think. Yeah, that's the year I worked there. I started working there. And dude, I only saw 3 cars on my way from Overland Park to where the station is in Shawnee. I only saw 3 cars on my way there. And I was up at 5:30 because I was doing the 6 a.m. show. But yeah, I had never seen the streets that empty before in my life. And by the way, I'm not counting cars, that are parked, in driveways and whatnot. I'm talking about cars that are operating, moving. You don't see that often. Thanksgiving, yeah, you see a lot of. You see, when you're a millionaire, every day is a holiday. That is true. That is very true. I mean, listen, if you're, I won't say names, but I came across one member of the national media that complained about working on a holiday. Dude, I went up and looked up this guy's salary. And again, I won't say names or what network. This guy makes a 7-figure salary. Like if you're making a 7-figure salary, you and your family will be okay. Now, are your kids going to be bummed out that their dad's not home? Yeah, sure. And listen, I'm not a parent, so I don't know what that's like. But when you've got a 7-figure salary, you can figure that shit out. You can figure that shit out. Rather play Thanksgiving than Christmas. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Listen, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. The NFL loves to have these games on holidays. But the only people I really feel a little bad for, and again, I don't feel too bad for because this is what they signed up for, would be like the production crew, the camera operators, the cable guys, the directors, technical directors backstage that you don't ever hear about. Those guys aren't making that much. I mean, listen, those guys all work different full-time jobs too. That's not their full-time job. I think people kind of get that. I don't think people realize that. But yeah. And then, the stadium vendors, security, janitors, those people, which, again, those people all work other full-time jobs also. Working twice a month at Arrowhead is not a full-time job, obviously. But those people, yeah, I feel a little bad for because, they're working on a holiday. Sometimes you deal with drunk idiots and That's never fun, whether it's a holiday or not. We just had a Turkey Day quake, 6.1 in Willow. Oh boy. Well, hopefully everyone's okay there, because that's never fun. Hopefully you guys don't burn your turkeys. The only thing that we should see get burned today is the Dallas defense. See what I did there, Ayo? All right, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Appreciate you guys joining me on a Thanksgiving morning. I'm going to get some rest. I don't know. Can you guys hear the washing machine in the background? It is loud as hell. I think this microphone does a really good job of not picking that shit up, which I appreciate. But in case you do hear any noise, that's what that is. So I'm going to go take care of some unpacking that I've got to do up until, a couple hours before the game. And then we'll be back at halftime. We will recap the first half. So please join me if you're not busy on your Thanksgiving day. We will have our halftime live stream. And then after the game, we will do the Chiefs Zone podcast live. We'll recap the game. We'll have the calls for you guys, the link for you guys to call in. All you have to do is click on the link, put in your name, turn on your audio, your video, and we can chat it up after the game. So I hope to hear from you guys once this game is over. I'm Farzin Vasugian. Appreciate you guys joining me for this pregame live chat. I will talk to you all at halftime. Take care.